Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm very happy to have you here, guys. I am so excited because it's been such a long time since I have filmed. I feel like the last 3-4 videos that you have seen were filmed like more than a month ago by now, so it's been a while since I have filmed. But basically, guys, today I want to show you what fragrances I have been adding to my collection, or like I have added to my collection in the past, let's just say 3 to 4 months. I don't know exactly how many fragrances I have. Some are new fragrances, some are blind buys, some are backups, some are fragrances that I wanted to get for the longest time and I finally managed to get them. Some are new discoveries, so you have a bit of everything. Some are huge hits, some are huge misses, but we will talk about each one in particular when we get to that. And also, I was very lucky to test some amazing fragrances, and I want to show you some fragrances that completely mesmerized me, or they completely captivated me, that I have been testing in the past few weeks, just briefly talking a bit about them. Now let's start with a fragrance that was a blind buy for me. And what's the story behind this fragrance? Well, I was watching one of Mona Katan's videos, and she mentioned this fragrance, and she said something among the lines that if you want a fragrance that has a beautiful Middle Eastern traditional smell to it, that lasts and something like this, then you should check out this fragrance. And the fragrance was from a brand called Juicy Couture, and the fragrance is called Royal Rose. Now, I haven't tried any other fragrances from Juicy Couture besides this fragrance, so I didn't know exactly what to expect. But I have seen their, I mean, it's kind of hard to miss these types of bottles online when you see them, you know, because they're like very eye-catching, you know, with all the bling, all the kitsch there. But I never actually smelled any other fragrances from their collection, so I was not really sure what to expect from this fragrance. But when I looked up the notes, I mean, you hear the name Royal Rose, you look up the notes, it has incense, it has Taleef rose, you know, so I was expecting something among the lines of Shagaf Oud, but maybe sweeter, because if I remember correctly, I think it has heliotrope or like almond, something. It has an almondy feel, however. So yeah, I didn't know exactly what to expect, but unfortunately I was kind of disappointed. I mean, not disappointed, let's just say I was underwhelmed, but like very underwhelmed. It's a nice fragrance. Let me actually spray it. It's a nice fragrance, it smells good, but I feel like maybe my expectations were a bit too high for this fragrance, I don't know. Yeah, I feel like they tried to come up with a fragrance that's like out of the box type of fragrance, that like unique, more different type of fragrance. But I feel like what they did, they kept it mainstream in a way. Like they didn't fully go there, you know. It's almost like they wanted to dip their toes so they could have like some other offerings besides those more like sweet mainstream fragrances. But I still feel like they could have done so many more things to this fragrance. I mean, like this fragrance to begin with, it smells good, it smells great, it's not a bad fragrance. It's, to me, yes, you have the rose here. You imagine you have like bright pink roses with a bit of greenness and some like soft peppery nuances, but nothing like Love by Chopard, much softer than that. So the rose has like a spicy kick to it, but not like those gourmand spices, more like spicy in the sense of like green peppery type of spices. It has a bit of sweetness, but it also has this like creamy almondy feel in the background with the softest, shyest, the most shy incense accord in the background. And the thing is, I love incense in my fragrances, and when I see incense, I'm expecting to get incense like, I don't know, like burning incense, frankincense, you know, some like resiny balsamic accords, burning Bakhoor type of feel. But this has nothing. I mean, maybe for some people who are not used to fragrances from Middle Eastern brands, I feel like maybe for those people this fragrance will be like something different, something out of the box, you know. But for me and for the fragrances I already have, with rose, with incense, this is nothing groundbreaking. But maybe it was my fault, because maybe I had too high expectations from this fragrance, I don't know. I rarely reach for this fragrance. I have, like, when I look at my collection, like when I think, okay, I want to go all out with a heavy rose fragrance, I have at least 6 other fragrances that I would reach for before I go to this fragrance, or like before I get to this fragrance, you know. But what I will try to do, I will try to layer it with Amber Oud by with an attar called Amber Oud by Ibn al-Jiburi, because that, I feel like it could bring some depth to the fragrance, it could bring some kick to the fragrance, you know, it could amplify maybe some resiny balsamic accords, it could make the rose a bit more rosy, you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know, we will see. I definitely have to explore with some layering options. So yes, by the way, if you have this fragrance in your collection and you would like to layer it with other fragrances, I could really use your help. Give me some layering ideas below. So yeah, this is the first fragrance. I can't say that it's like a huge fail, because I mean, realistically speaking, it smells good, but it's just I don't use it, okay? So yeah, I don't know. I think I would only recommend you to get this one if you're looking for a day-to-day casual rose fragrance with something more than your typical floral rose fragrance. But don't expect this fragrance to be like groundbreaking, don't expect this fragrance to be like an ode to incense in fragrances or anything like that, you know. So yeah, I mean, for what it is, like if I were to judge this one like objectively, it's a good fragrance, smells great, good for day-to-day use if you enjoy heavier fragrances. But also something that I don't like about it, the opening is nice, but then I feel like it quickly dies down. So this is why I say I'm curious to see if I would layer it with something else, how it will perform and how the fragrance, like the scent of the fragrance, would overall change. Let me get the backups out of the way. So I have here a backup of Amber Oud Tobacco by Haramain, Tobacco Edition by Haramain. You guys, I'm obsessed with this fragrance. Like, I almost finished, hold on, let me actually put it down. Okay, so I almost finished that fragrance and I knew I wanted to have another bottle in my collection. Someone left a comment and they said that they found a 200 ml bottle of this one. So by the way, if you are in Europe, anywhere in Europe, and you see like huge, like 100 ml bottles, like 120, 200 ml bottles of Amber Oud Tobacco, please send me some links or like let me know where I can find them, because this bottle that I got is 60 ml, and I know Haramain now came out with 100 ml, 120 and 200 ml. I don't know if I've seen 200 ml online, but I could only find those versions for Amber Oud Gold Edition, not for this one. So yes, again, if you are based in Europe or if you know any European stores that sell the 200 or like even 120, even 100 milliliters, you know, please let me know and I will be forever grateful to you, because I don't want to keep buying 60 ml bottles. The thing with 60 ml bottles is they go, I don't know, like they run out so fast. I don't know, either I'm spraying too much fragrance, I don't know. But yeah, now this fragrance, I completely love it. I feel like this fragrance will be in my collection for the rest of my life. It just works so well with my taste. It layers so well with so many other fragrances in my collection. It just works. It's one of the best sweet tobacco fragrances that I have tried. It has this beautiful warming up spices to it. There's just something about this fragrance that I don't know, that I just cannot get enough of it. And so far, from the feedback that I got from you, you seem to enjoy it very much as well, and that always makes me so happy. Like, you guys, you have to understand, like when someone writes to me and they say that they bought a fragrance based on my recommendation and they love it, it's like they make my day, you know, because it's so important to me that, I don't know, like you invest your money well, you know. Like, I know some people might take this like very like light-hearted, like, oh, you know, like if it didn't work, it didn't work. But I'm like, I am genuinely happy when someone tells me that they bought a fragrance based on my recommendations and they absolutely love it and they bought it for another family member, or they got so many compliments, or it was anything they were looking for in a fragrance. So yes, whenever I see these kinds of comments, it always makes me so happy and it puts the biggest smile on my face, because I'm like, I am so happy that I have a community here that resonates with my taste. Of course, not everybody enjoys the fragrances that they bought based on my recommendations, but unfortunately that's just life, you know. I mean, there's not much I can do about that. But yeah, it always makes me happy when I hear that you enjoy what you bought based on my recommendations. So yeah, all that to say that I got amazing feedback on Amber Oud Tobacco. Amazing feedback. So if you wanted to try it, I don't know, I would highly encourage you to at least get a decant of it, at least get a sample. If you love a sweet tobacco, it's nothing like red tobacco from Mancera. It's not as challenging as that one. It's much more, I don't know, it's much more cozy. I feel like it's much sweeter, it's much more approachable, it's much more easier to enjoy. And don't get me wrong, I love red tobacco as well, but red tobacco is a mood. This one, I feel like, at least for my kind of, like for what I like in a fragrance, I could use it day to day, you know, without feeling like it's too much or that I need to, like, I don't know, like fit a specific mood or anything, you know. So yeah, Amber Oud Tobacco Edition. It's one of my favorite fragrances, if not my favorite fragrance from Al Haramain. Okay, so let's continue with backups. I have here a backup of Arabians Tonka. I found online a tester bottle and the price was too good to not buy it. Yeah, I love Arabian Tonka. It's a very versatile fragrance in my collection. For me, I use it in the summertime. I use it in the warmer months. I use it in colder months. I could use it all year round. I could use it on its own. I could use it layered. It works amazing layered with other fragrances. It just adds this beautiful depth and richness and sweetness to other fragrances, and it makes them overall more robust. I would say more like thick, you know. So yeah, I love this fragrance, and when I saw a tester bottle for an amazing deal, I just had to have it. Now the only thing is it has this dingly thing here, but what I was thinking to do was to, after I finish my current bottle of Arabian Tonka, to just take out that cap and just replace the cap here, because I feel like the bottles are the same. It's just like the cap that's different, you know. Not the cap, the nozzle, sorry, the nozzle is different. So I had to take a little break and I completely forgot what I was talking about, guys. I remember I was talking about Arabian Tonka, but I don't know exactly what I was talking about. But yeah, basically I got a backup bottle of it and I love this fragrance. I feel like it's by far my favorite fragrance from Montale. I find it so versatile. It works so well during the daytime, during the nighttime, and it just adds this like beautiful, rich, sweet vibe to every fragrance, with a bit of oud, with a bit of oak moss, with some tonka bean, a lot of sugariness, you know. So yeah, it just works so well for me. And honestly, I will get more backup bottles. But a part of me is telling me to like chill down, you know, like, but I'm very honest, I will get more backup bottles, and I will, like, if I find great deals on this fragrance, I would get just more. So yes, let's talk about another fragrance that I bought it. This time it is by Ahmed al Maghribi. This one is called Bidun Esam, and this fragrance, here is the backup bottle of the fragrance. Let me actually show you the bottle that I'm currently using. And this is the bottle that I am currently using. Now I have not used this much of the fragrance. I actually decanted a bit of the fragrance. I think 5 ml I decanted. I decanted it. This fragrance, I love this fragrance. Oh, this fragrance. Yeah, I love it, guys. I love it, and I'm so happy. The thing is, I was like, why just buy 50 ml, because this is 50 ml, when I could buy 100 ml, you know. But this is such a strong fragrance and you genuinely do not need a lot. I feel like in every video where I mention this fragrance, I mention the same, like, you don't need a lot, but you actually don't need a lot, because it's so easy to overdo it and then you choke yourself, you choke people around you, and I don't think it's a pleasant experience. I don't know. This is a rosewood combo, but it's not just a rosewood combo. But I don't want to spend too much time talking about this fragrance, because I feel like I have talked about it in so many of my videos, so feel free to watch the review that I have for it. And if you have any questions about the fragrance, feel free to put them down below and I will get back to you. But I'm telling you, if you want rose oud with oud that smells like oud and you want an amazing performance and you're not very sensitive when it comes to fragrances, I feel like you could really enjoy this fragrance. So yeah, those were the other 2 bottles that I bought, but kind of counts like one, because together they are 100 ml, you know. Now, speaking of Montale fragrances, I want to show you another fragrance that I got blindly this time, and I think I've mentioned it only in one video when I did like my first impressions on the fragrance. This is Sensual Instinct, and this fragrance, from what I read on Fragrantica in the positive comments, because there were a lot of negative comments that it's almost like I didn't look that way, you know. I chose to only read the positive ones. They said that this is like Baccarat Rouge with intense cafe, you know, it has this sort of effect. And I feel like for some people, yes, it might be true, but for me, this is Baccarat Rouge with sour candies, you know, like those candies that make your mouth go like, you know, yeah, exactly those candies, that smell, exactly that smell, like citrusy sour candies, like sweet citrusy sour candies with the Baccarat Rouge vibe in the background. Now the dry down of this fragrance, I love it. It smells so good. Like when I don't spray it for a long time and I sniff the nozzle, it smells really good. You have more of that dry down, that like sweet oak mossy feel with some like resiny transparency, airy touch that Baccarat Rouge has as well. But yeah, it's so beautiful. Like the dry down is very beautiful. The opening, I'm still struggling with it, but I have worn it out a few times. But I was surprised. Maybe I oversprayed it, I don't know, but One of my friends told me like she was kind of suffocating and she wanted to open the windows. We were in a car, both of us were in a car. She was driving and she came to pick me up and I was wearing this fragrance and she was like, do you mind if I open the windows? And I was like, no, you do your thing. So yeah, I don't think this is fragrance. I don't think this is the kind of fragrance that people around you, like old people around you, will appreciate it. I feel like those who are familiar with the DNA of Baccarat Rouge, those who are familiar with fragrances from Montale, from Mancera, like the heavier, sharper fragrances, or those who have a very like not easily bothered nose. I don't know if that made sense, but basically those who don't have a very sensitive nose, I feel like those people will be okay with this fragrance. But if you in general have a very sensitive nose, like if you get headaches easily from fragrances, if you feel like your sense of smell gets easily overpowered, I don't think this is the kind of fragrance that you would enjoy, you know, so keep this in mind. So let's move on to the next fragrance that I added to my collection. This is called Riwayat al Oud and this is by Afnan, or it's by, I think it's by Afnan or by Bait al Bakhoor. By Afnan, it's under Afnan anyways. Now this fragrance, if you have been watching me for a while, I feel like I've mentioned this fragrance in like few older videos of mine. This is basically a very similar fragrance to Shagaf Oud by Swiss Arabian, but the video where I mentioned it, I don't remember exactly which one it is because it was ages ago, but basically I mentioned that this smells very similar to it. But if I were to choose just one fragrance between this one and Shagaf Oud, I would definitely go for Shagaf Oud, and I still would go for Shagaf Oud, but unfortunately it was reformulated, and from the feedback that I got from you, doesn't really have a good performance anymore. It doesn't really last, it doesn't really project. A lot of you told me it's more of a watered down fragrance, so I wanted to kind of save the Shagaf Oud that I have to use it with Oud Aswad, you know, in like my little concoction of fragrance, and to get this one as like my day-to-day fragrance when I feel like using something similar to Shagaf Oud. Now this fragrance is very beautiful, you guys. If you have smelled Shagaf Oud, it will make you automatically think of that fragrance. They are extremely similar. Like I feel like you could only tell them apart if you were to like apply one on one hand, the other one on the other hand, and just like smell them, you know, and compare them. But like if you just smell it now, like, you know, like in the air, or like that you smell the sillage of it, is extremely similar. Yeah, it's just a little bit softer and it doesn't have the strength of Shagaf Oud. This is a more subdued version, I would say, but I feel like it's good for everyday basis, you know. So yeah, I got this one. I actually worn it a couple of times. I don't know if it shows that much, but I don't like the bottle, you guys. The bottle is so annoying because it occupies so much space, and it's like asymmetrical, you know, it's like asymmetrical, and it's like very hard to find a place in my collection to actually put it. So yeah, and also the cap kind of feels cheap, but then again, it was such an affordable fragrance that I don't really care about the presentation that much. I'm happy with it. Of course, I would have liked to get the OG Shagaf Oud, but you know what, guys, I don't mind it. I will save what I have from the bottle and I will just use this one instead. Also, someone asked me if I could get a fragrance called Oud Saffron, apparently from Orientica. Apparently that one it's supposed to be very similar to Shagaf Oud, but I cannot find a decant or a sample of that fragrance, and where I live it's around 80 euros. 80 euros, I think, 80 euros, 80. Yeah, around 80 euros, maybe 75, 80 euros. So I don't want to blind buy it, you know. Especially when I have this one that it's similar to Shagaf Oud. I have Shagaf Oud, I have Abolam and Atar, you know, so yeah, but we will see. Now, in case you have both, in case you have the Oud Saffron from Orientica, and in case you have Shagaf Oud, tell me. I would really appreciate if you could tell me how they compare to each other, so I could like paint a picture, like make up an idea. Yeah. Okay, so I want to quickly show you this one because it's a new fragrance, but I have shown it only in one video, I think. This is Ishq al Shuyukh Gold by Lattafa Pride. This is amazing. This is very beautiful, guys, and this is very unique as well. This is such a weird, but in a good way, an abstract fragrance. I really like it. If you would like to hear more about it, check out this video that I did for it. I have an in-depth review, and surprisingly a lot of people have amazing feedback on this fragrance, even though it's not the kind of fragrance that's for everybody. Like, you need to have a particular taste to appreciate it, but I feel like as a baseline, if you like Arabian Tonka, like I have mentioned in that video as well, if you like Arabian Tonka and if you like Instant Crush, it has that same like sweet medicinal saffrony feel, but here to me it smells like sweet metal and sweet metallic and creamy at the same time, with a beautiful dense rich sugary touch and some soft suede in the background. It's gorgeous. in the performance for this fragrance, like I remember like when I sprayed it on a certain blouse, like even after a few days I could smell that fragrance. It was from a thicker fabric, so the fragrance like absorbed into the fabric, you know, and it like stayed there for quite a few days. So the performance for this one is amazing. The presentation is very beautiful, like the bottle feels very luxurious. So if you wanted to try it for the longest time, and if you are familiar with Arabian Tonka or Instant Crush, I think you would have a positive experience with this fragrance as well. Now let me show you a fragrance. This fragrance, I'm so excited to finally show it to you. This is a fragrance. Okay, so what's the story behind this fragrance? So there's this beautiful woman. I don't want to mention her name because maybe she doesn't want me to mention her name here, but she bought some fragrances based on my recommendations. She loved them and we started chatting on Instagram, and she wanted to send me some samples and decants from her collection, and she sent me some samples for Serge Lutens fragrances. Now when it comes to this brand, I've only smelled them many years ago when I was in Germany, but back then I feel like, first of all, I was a kid and then my nose was not like fully developed to appreciate those kind of fragrances, because I feel like now that I actually got to test 3 fragrances from him, there are more, I feel like there are more experiences, like they're more experimental, like, or how to say, like his fragrances capture a whole experience in a bottle, you know, like it's almost like his fragrances like make you travel through time, through cultures, through everything, you know. It's like a whole story in a bottle, like a whole story encapsulated in a bottle, and I feel like that's very different and unique to the brand. Now she sent me a sample of a fragrance called Fille de Berlin. Now when I smelled that fragrance, you guys, I was speechless. I was speechless, like I was legit smelling that fragrance and I was just like speechless. I couldn't say anything. It has been such a long time since a fragrance has left me speechless, like without words. I felt so mesmerized and so captivated by that fragrance. It's like, I don't know, it was almost like, I don't know, I just resonated so much with that fragrance. And I remember I just closed my eyes and I smelled it deeper, like I really smelled, you know, like deeply smelled it, and it was such a beautiful experience, and it was such a complex fragrance. I mean, still is, and of course it's a fragrance made around rose, but it's a very different type of fragrance. I feel like I don't have anything like this one in, hold on, let me actually show the bottle. I don't have anything like this one in my collection. So when I smell that fragrance and I have seen that it left me speechless, like when I mean speechless, I mean speechless, I immediately wanted a bottle for myself, and I got, again, it's almost like it was meant to be, you know. I was browsing online and I have like my websites that I buy when it comes to Middle Eastern fragrances, and then I have my websites that, like my trusted websites that I buy when it comes to other brands like designer, even some niche fragrances, you know. And I found it on one of those websites, and it was like the only fragrance from Serge Lutens that they had on that website, and it was with a great discount, and it was like, and they also had like a discount code. It was like, it was meant to be, you know. This is what I like to believe, it was meant to be. And just look at the color of the fragrance, like it's so beautiful, it's so like deep, rich and vampy and so gothic. Oh, you guys, oh my god, this fragrance, yeah, I love it. I haven't worn it out yet at all, because I feel like you need the mood, you know, like you need the energy for this fragrance. This is such a deep, sensual and mysterious fragrance. You need the occasion, you need the attitude, you need the energy, you need the outfit for this fragrance. Like I've mentioned, this is not the kind of fragrance, hold on, sorry, if you keep see me playing with my hair, I'm very sorry, but I get hair in my eyes, in my mouth, everywhere. What I wanted to say, oh yeah, this is not the kind of fragrance that you wear when you just want something that smells good, that's mainstream, and that everyone around you will smell it. To me, this is the kind of fragrance that you wear for your own pleasure, or for that one lucky person who gets to come in more in your personal space, or in more intimate situations with you, like. But this is for you. First of all, this is for you to enjoy. This is not the kind of fragrance that you do like 20 sprays of it, you know, and to like project everywhere. I feel like this is a very intimate fragrance, not in the performance of it, but in its scent. I feel like it's almost, it has something very carnal about it. It's like, it's almost the kind of fragrance that you don't want it to scream, you know. It's the kind of fragrance that you want it to stay close to you, so that only a select handful of people have the experience of smelling it on you. I don't know, some of you might think that I'm completely crazy, and if you think that, that's fine by me, I don't mind it, but it's this kind of fragrance. Like, test it. Like, if you find a sample of this, don't blind buy it, by the way. If you find a sample of it, please test it, especially if you love rose-based fragrances. I feel like this has the potential to be a whole experience type of, like, I think I'm not saying it right, you guys, like a fragrance that captures a whole experience in a bottle, you know. I feel like it has the potential to be that fragrance for you as well. Now, even though this is a rose fragrance, but you see this color. Now imagine these kinds of roses, but now imagine like you boil them and you add honey. It's a very interesting fragrance. I feel like Fragrantica, if you look at the notes on Fragrantica and if you look at the accords, you might think that this is an aromatic rose, and it's not just an aromatic rose. I have tried plenty of rose with geranium and something green. It's not that kind of rose. It doesn't go into Noir de Noir by Tom Ford. It's a different fragrance. This is, first of all, this is all about rose. Rose is the star of the show here. You have the rose, and then you have different facets of a rose accord, or like a rose, like imagine like a full, like a rose flower, you know. You smell it from different angles. You smell it in different, I don't know, you know, like, I hope you get what I'm saying. At first, it's almost like you smell it and you get a bit of greenness. Now, someone actually mentioned that they get something metallic from it, like blood-like, and I definitely see why. But my advice would be get it and let it sit. This is why I haven't worn it out yet. I mean, first of all, because I didn't have the occasion. Second of all, the sample that she sent me, I feel like that fragrance is much more, it's more sweet, less green. So I was thinking that if I were to let this one sit for a while, the opening, like that greener opening, would fade. But you know what? This is not a review for this fragrance. I will do a separate in-depth review for this fragrance. I don't know if people are interested, but I will do it for my own pleasure, you know. So yeah, this is not a review. This is such a complex fragrance that I don't want to rush it, you know. I want to take my time with it. So yeah, back to the other fragrances. I got a fragrance that I have had my eyes on it. I have had my eyes on it for a long time. This is again by Ahmed al Maghribi, and this one is called Taleef. And this is the fragrance. I mean, I think you can see, but see, this is the fragrance. Now, something that I don't like, the cap came, and this is the first time I have noticed something like this with any fragrances from Ahmed al Maghribi, but the cap came with some like melted dye on it. I don't know, it looks kind of weird. But besides that, the bottle came intact. Now, see, I had such high hopes for this fragrance. I have been looking at this fragrance online for 4 months, I think. Because it was like, I was intrigued by it, but at the same time, I didn't want to blind buy it, but then at the same time, the notes looked amazing and it sounded like something I would like. So then I was like, okay, let's just blind buy it and see. Mistake, big mistake. I don't like it. I mean, it's not, again, it's not a bad fragrance, but okay, so I will insert somewhere over here the note so that you can see. This has listed cotton candy, it has listed, I think, caramel, it has listed vanilla, it has listed a lot of beautiful sweet, it has listed rose, I think, a lot of beautiful sweet notes. So I was expecting it to be something sweet. It has also listed some saffron, some oak moss, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know, but I was expecting it to be much sweeter than it is. Now, to me, again, it's a beautiful fragrance, but it's not for me, unfortunately. Or I don't know, maybe I should give it more time. I don't know, I mean, I will give it more time because now I have it in my collection. But it's, you see, the thing is, I feel like what they did here, if you have tried Glory from Ahmed al Maghribi, it's almost like they took that DNA, they took that saffrony part from Glory, and they put it here, and they added some like sour sweet citruses from Sensual Instinct, but not to that level, not to that extent. It's not as soury as that one, but it has some sour citruses as well here. I don't like the opening. It's almost like it's not telling me anything. I don't know. So yes, this is why I say for me, I don't like it, you guys. I'll be very honest. It's not my kind of fragrance. Or maybe, again, I don't know, I had too high expectations, I don't know, but the notes looked amazing. And I'm telling you, like, if you look at the notes, like, you are expecting something sweet, yes, with depth, yes, with complexity, yes, with a lot of things, but you're expecting something sweet. And on me, it's not that sweet, you know. It has something from Baccarat Rouge, that like transparency thing, but it's, see, now it really reminds me of Sensual Instinct, but like a more mellow Sensual Instinct, like a more watered down, diluted Sensual Instinct, but still it has something from Baccarat Rouge, from Sensual Instinct, from Annabelle de Rouge, from all these kinds of fragrances, but with sour citruses. I don't know, maybe I should smell it on my skin. Let's see. See, this is why I'm like this with blind buying, because sometimes it's such a huge hit, so like you feel overly confident then to blind buy all kinds of other fragrances, and then other times it's like a complete miss, like a complete miss, you know. And it's like, yeah, see, on my skin it's even more sour, but like that candy like sour, you know, those candies like that make your mouth go like, you know, that kind of sour, with something that makes me think of, how you call it, bread dough. I like certain parts of it, but it's not what I was expecting it to be. But again, I will just let this one sit for a while and I will see if I like it better after. This fragrance on its own, it's not a bad fragrance, but it's not that sweet as I was expecting it to be. So if you want something, I would say, that has the Baccarat Rouge DNA, that has some sweetness, but it's more like that sour candy type of sweetness, I feel like you would enjoy it. But if you want a very sweet fragrance, I don't know if this is necessarily the fragrance, but you guys, these are just like my first impressions. Keep in mind, I have not worn this one out yet, okay? So like, please keep in mind, these are just my first impressions. I will test it more and I will review it at a certain point in the future, but these are just based on my first initial thoughts, you know. Maybe I will end up loving this fragrance, who knows. So I quickly want to mention the Kayali Vanilla I quickly want to mention the Kayali Vanilla Royale Sugared Patchouli 64. I got a 100 ml bottle of it and I love it, like I love it so much. This fragrance, you guys, this fragrance captivated me, mesmerized me. But this is, I love to wear it, like I love to wear this fragrance. And now, speaking of Kayali, let me actually show you a fragrance that the same person who sent me a decant of La Fille de Berlin sent me a decant of Coffe Addict. I mean, among other decants, she sent me a decant of Coffe Addict. It was the first time I smelled Coffe Addict by Theodoros Kalotinis. You guys, it's so good. Like, it went straight up on my wish list. It's such a good fragrance. It smells sweet and boozy and gourmand, you guys. To me, again, I feel like I will want to review it in a future video of mine, so I don't want to say a lot about it, but I will just say this is a true gourmand, but it's not one of that like cheap smelling type of gourmand. This is like, to me, it smells like tiramisu. Like if you smelled and eaten tiramisu, it smells just like tiramisu. It has even the rum. To me, in the opening, it's very boozy from the rum. You have here a very beautiful, rich rum feel to it. So it has this like alcoholic tone. And then you have like the dry cacao powder, you have the coffee here, and you have like thick syrupy caramel almost, like, I don't know. It smells so good and it's such a good performing fragrance. I randomly, like when I'm at home, I like to spray like 4 or 5 fragrances on different places on my arm. And I remember I sprayed it somewhere over here. And even after 7 hours I could still smell it. So it's a fragrance that I feel like it really performs. So the performance is not an issue, it performs. The price of it, I feel like it's very fair. I think it's around 45 euros, which I think is more than fair for how beautiful it smells and for what it gives. How to say, like, it's not like a cheap smelling gourmand, you know. It's not like those like $10 vanilla essence type of fragrance that you can buy from, I don't know, anywhere. It's more like an elevated upscale gourmand. Like it's not a childish gourmand, you know, because it has this rum, it has this like tiramisu type of effect. Yeah, it's very beautiful. And yeah, all this to say, see, I start with one idea and I completely forget what I wanted to tell you. I layer this one. So basically, one day I was like working a bit on my laptop for something, and then I had on my arm one spray of Vanilla Royale by Kayali, and then I wanted to apply this fragrance as well, and I applied it somewhere close to Vanilla Royale, and these two together, they smelled so good. Oh my god, they smelled so good. It's like you have the rum from Vanilla Kayali, the rum from here amplified that like chocolatey rum-like type of feel, and then you have the sweetness, then you have the gourmand facet, and I feel like these two together, they're like this, you know, like they complement, they melt into each other. So if you have Coffee Addict by Theodoros Kalotinis, and if you have Vanilla Royale, please try to layer them. I feel like it would work so well. Use Kayali as a base, use this one as a topper, because it's more gourmand, so I feel like it will pull the gourmand leaning notes from Kayali as well. And also, if you have struggled with the Patchouli and Kayali, layer this one on top. You will add just like tiramisu gourmand goodness, you know, to it, and I feel like you would really enjoy it. So yeah, that's like my little layering idea that I wanted to give you today. Like, you guys, like, it's almost like you want to lick this fragrance. This is how good it smells. Like, yeah. If you were to smell this fragrance on someone, I am telling you, it's like you would want to eat that person, because it smells so good, so delicious, so edible, but like edible, not cheap edible, like high-end luxury kind of tiramisu type of edible, you know. So the last fragrance for today's video that I have added to my collection, it's called Swar al Dahab, and this is a fragrance that I have showed you in this video. And I had to buy a full bottle of it because I just love it. Again, it's not the kind of fragrance that I thought I would love, but there's just something about this DNA. It's so creamy. You have here the most beautiful creamy sweet mandarin orange with some cold creamy body lotion type of feel, with some like coconutty almondy powdery nuances. It's again, see, even when I smell it now, it's almost like I want to smell it deeper and deeper and deeper, because it's so good. A very beautiful fragrance. I think 2 women so far bought it based on my recommendations, and 2 or 3 women, and all 3 came back with amazing feedback. So I feel like if you have this fragrance on your radar and you find it at a great price, as a reference, I bought this one for around 15-16 euros. Yeah, 15-16 euros. I feel like that's the price I paid, and it's worth it. Now, okay, so let me tell you a little story. Okay, so I wouldn't say that I have a huge fragrance collection, but I have definitely more than I need. Okay, I have around 100 fragrances in my collection, and all my close friends, I mean, I have like 4 very close friends. We are a group of 4 girls, and I have besides the point, we are a group of 4 girls basically, and they all know that I'm like crazy about fragrances. They all like to ask me all kinds of ideas on fragrances and tips, you know, and they always compliment me, and they always say that I smell amazing. Now, one time, this was, I feel like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I feel like 2 weeks ago. We all met at one of my friend's houses. She was like, her husband was not at home, and we all went there, we had some wine, and we had the girls' night. And I remember I recently got that fragrance, so I really wanted to wear this fragrance, and I applied like more than 20 sprays of this one. Now, this is the tip that I have for you. Treat it more like a body lotion or Montale type of fragrance. Don't get this one and expect it to perform like Bidun Esam or like Arabians Tonka, because it won't, and you will be disappointed. But for the price and for how good it smells, I don't even care that it doesn't perform that well. It's like, it's so good, you guys. It's so good. Like, this embodies like flirty, carefree, happy, uplifting feminine energy. Like this is the embodiment of that fragrance. When you want to feel ultra feminine and girly and uplifting, or like very happy, you know, and playful and flirty a bit, I feel like this is the fragrance that you wear. So I wore this fragrance, basically, back to the story. So I wore this fragrance, I did around 20 sprays of the fragrance, and as I got, basically I was a bit late, and as I got there and I went to hug my friend, and then the other 2 friends came to hug me, and my friend was like, you smell amazing, this is the best fragrance you've ever smelled, like, or like, this is the best smell, like this is the best fragrance you've ever used. And I was like, I was shocked, you guys, because remember, first of all, this is definitely not the kind of fragrance that I would go for day by day. It's not the best performing fragrance. It was a very cheap fragrance, like legit cheap fragrance. I mean, affordable, not cheap in the sense of bad quality, but like ultra affordable, you know. It's like, it's less expensive than a foundation, you know, so like it was very affordable. And then my 2 other very good friends came, they smelled me, and they all said the same thing, and then they all wanted to know which this fragrance is, and they all asked me to give them the name, and they said that they would like to buy it. Safe to say, this is such an easy to enjoy fragrance by people around you. I feel like this is safe to wear to your office, this is safe for date night. I mean, not, I don't know if date nights. I mean, whatever floats your boat at the end of the day, you know, but I feel like I would use this one for like dates during the daytime or like nighttime. I don't even know. No matter, you guys, like besides the point, it's a beautiful fragrance, beautiful fragrance. So if you like Yara by Lattafa and you would like something among the similar lines, similar scent profile but a bit different, this is like a cousin to Yara, I would say. I think you would really enjoy this fragrance, but again, keep in mind it's not a beast mode. I mean, yes, when you first apply it, especially if you overspray it, yes, it will project, people will smell it around you, but I feel like 4 hours in, people have to come very close to you to smell it. But then again, for me personally, it's not such a big deal because I love the smell. It's very affordable. It smells much more expensive than it's priced, and apparently it's a compliment getter, you guys. Apparently it's a compliment getter. So yeah, I feel like it's a safe bet if you want to try something among the lines. I know I said I would like to show you some fragrances that I have been testing and that I'm completely mesmerized by them, one being Coffe Addict, but I feel like the rest of them I will do a different video because this video on its own is already a bit too long. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. If you have tried any of these fragrances, I would love to hear your feedback on them. Like I've said, guys, not only I would love to know it, but I'm sure everyone who's interested in trying out any fragrances from today's video could really use your feedback as well. So if you don't mind that, share your thoughts about any of the fragrances down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any videos idea, if you have any fragrance requests, as always, put them down below. I'm always taking notes. I have my notepad or like my agenda where I write all videos ideas, all fragrance requests, and believe me, I am trying my best to make it all happen. It's just I wish I would have a bit more free time to put into my YouTube channel and into editing and in everything related to my YouTube channel, but hopefully I will make it happen. We will see. But I would definitely like to make a schedule and to upload at least 2 videos a week, because the thing is, I test so many amazing fragrances and I feel like I have like what 40 samples that I'm testing at the moment, from Lattafa, from Afnan, from Haramain, from I don't know, Ahmed al Maghribi. I got a fragrance that was recommended to me. I mean, I got a sample of it. It's called Alpha. Now that fragrance, it's a whole story on its own. Then I have so many fragrances that I'm testing from Masera, from Montale. Again, a lot of fragrances, and I feel like if I keep it like to 1 video a week, I will manage to talk about all these fragrances like one in 20-year time period. I don't know. So I would definitely like to perhaps, I don't know, try to be more organized when it comes to my YouTube channel and make more videos. So yeah, I don't know, we will see. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to tell me anything, please put it down in the comment section and I promise that I will get back to you. As always, guys, if you want to follow me on Instagram, here is my handle. Feel free to follow me there. There I share a lot more about me than I share here on my YouTube channel, and there usually the people who follow me on Instagram get to know me a bit more on a personal level than here on YouTube. So yeah, again, thank you so much for watching, you guys, and I want to wish you an amazing day wherever you are. Bye.